Hey everyone, it's Kai from Cool Collectibles, back again for another review. This time it's the Bandai S.H.Figuarts M.Bison. For all the amazing figures coming out of Japan, click the link in the description below to head on over to Big Bad Toy Store. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, I actually thought I was going to stop collecting the S.H.Figuarts Street Fighter series because I started getting into the Storm Collectibles versions. But Storm Collectibles have only announced 4 figures in their Street Fighter 2 series, which is the one that I'm interested in. So in the meantime, I pretty much got sick of waiting, to be honest, and this Bison and the Vega figures did look pretty good. So I figured I'll get these in to have a look and compare them against some of the other S.H.Figuarts Street Fighter figures that I have. And I don't think Storm have announced a Vega or a Bison in their Street Fighter 2 series, but it would be interesting to see how their Sagat compares to the S.H.Figuarts versions once that comes out. I don't think that's released yet. But just quickly go through the packaging, standard sort of stuff that you get with a few pictures of the posing that you can do, and love that classic sliding action pose there. These backgrounds are pretty much useless. I still don't... I mean, I guess it's a nice option for them to include it, but it comes all warped and... I don't even know if this was water damaged or anything like that, but it looks all warped and they don't stand very well, and I don't think they photograph particularly well either. So for all the other ones, I've pretty much just thrown these in the bin, to be honest. The figure, it comes, as you can see, with the swap out arms that you can use to replicate that arms folding pose. So it's pretty good that they included that option. But straight out of the box, it comes with the usual articulated hands and arms, and the joint just fits in there, but I'll quickly go through that afterwards. But you'll see out of this one at least the elbow articulation isn't too bad. Get it better than 45 degrees at least. There's no shoulder swivel or anything like that, which is pretty consistent through the line, I think. Just having a quick look at Ryu and Ken next to me here. But overall the paint application and the articulation is pretty good. So you get one on both sides, obviously. It comes out of the box with this stoic head sculpt, which isn't too bad. Sort of replicates the figure nicely with his bum chin and grimace, or I guess sad face, if you want to call it that. But I definitely like this sneering smile. He was always a bit of a smug son of a bitch, and I think this sort of represents that character far better. So I'll definitely be sticking with that head sculpt. It's pretty easy to swap out. You just lift up the hat here, and you just pull the head sculpt forward, and then the swap out piece just fits underneath. So it fits pretty well, and there's not too much gappage or anything like that I can see. So overall, a pretty good swap out feature. With the 2 hands, it comes with the light up Psycho Power, I think it's called, flaming effect. They don't come attached, but you'll just see that there is a little bit of a mold line there for the finger, and then there's a mold line on the other side somewhere. Maybe that one was for the finger and the other one was for the thumb. So you just have to be pretty careful in lining it all up. So that one fits in like so, then you squeeze it, and then you can see the thumb outline there, and then that sort of squeezes in there, and it sort of sits fairly well like that. And the same sort of thing, it's slightly different on the left side here, so they are marked with left and right, so just need to find that groove. For this one here, they do have a few finger grooves that you can see there. So there's the 2 finger grooves for both of those fingers there, and the thumb sort of wraps around that bulging piece there, and it does look pretty good. I do like the translucency that goes through that plastic. But onto the figure. Alright, as I was saying before, I do like this arms crossed look, and it is a little bit of a pain in the ass, particularly straight out of the box, to get the arm sockets out. So as you'll see here, these just sort of come apart at that keyed peg area there, and then you can sort of move that out the way, and as you can see, it's just the shoulder joint that's there, and then you can slide that out. It's a lot easier to do now, almost maybe a little bit too loose, and you see the gap there, and you just plonk it in like so, and then you can just swap out these articulated arms and squeeze it in there, and then you'll have that arm piece. Does come with a little bit of what do they call it? The butterfly joint. Not too much. I think the sort of molding gets in the way, but you can get just enough clearance to bring his arm forward to go across this chest piece here for that crossed arm look. The shoulder pads are on these little ball pegs at the back there. They do get in the way a little bit, and there is a warning in the instructions to watch out where you sort of move and articulate this, because it could scratch the plastic here, so just be careful there. But I guess it does give you options to have them right up against his neck or a little bit further out for a look like that, which I actually sort of prefer, to be honest. Not too close to his shoulders like that, which sort of hides his neck a little bit, but I prefer it slightly out. The head articulation here, this neck piece at the front here doesn't seem to move too much on mine, and when you move it back it leaves this pretty ugly gap there, so I tend to leave it forward, and then you can just rotate the head and so on. So it's not too bad. Sort of have the leaning effect as well. This torso piece is not too bad. It is a bit tight turning it around, and it does break up that seam, which is a little bit ugly, but not much you can do about that. You get the ab crunch, and when you do the ab crunch and so on, it doesn't leave a big gap at the back like I think Saget on the Storm collectibles and a few others did. So I do like that it doesn't leave too much of a gap. And this torso piece is also on its own sort of rotation and ball joint. There is a warning in the instructions as well about this floating sort of belt piece that might scratch the paint, but I don't really know what else you can do, to be honest. So just go easy and move it around, and you can get quite a lot of rotation and bending and poses, so you can get him into all of those action poses. This piece here is softer plastic, so you can get his legs up quite a far way, and the knee bend is just slightly over 90 degrees. So it's not too bad. And of course the legs here have a great range of motion there, and the whole rocking action. And this piece on the front here is also not fixed in. I don't know if it's on its own little ball peg, so just be careful you don't snap that off, but it does have a little bit of play to just assist in some of those posing. And then of course you get the little toe bend at the front there, which is pretty cool. So overall, lots of options for posing up. Paint application wise, I do like the black wash in the grooves of the outfit to bring out the sculpt a bit more. So I do like the different sorts of shading there. The silver on the front is nice and clean, so no issues there. And I think the face paint in particular is pretty nice as well. So that's pretty much it for this Bison. I think it says it's for the Street Fighter V look. I don't really know how much he's differed from the Street Fighter 4 that and Street Fighter 2 that I'm most familiar with, but hopefully Storm Collectibles gets their act together and releases a Street Fighter 2 version, and we can do a bit of a comparison. But just to finish up, I might get Ryu and Ken out here as well, and give you guys a quick comparison. Hold on. Alright, so here he is with Ken and Ryu. Now Ryu is in a more of an action pose, but even standing with Ken next to him straight up there, you can see that the Bison figure is pretty much almost a head taller, so he is quite a bit more bulky. And that's probably accurate to the movie and that scene from the classic cartoon movie where they have that fight together. And I think overall, scale-wise, I think they look pretty good next to each other. Now the Storm Collectibles figures are quite a bit larger, so it will be interesting to see how big they actually make their Bison if they release one in that Street Fighter 2 series. But for now, I think these do look pretty good on the shelf if you're a Street Fighter fan. And if you follow the channel, you do know that I have played pretty much Street Fighter since 1991, 92, growing up in the arcade. So these figures do really speak to my nostalgia anyway, and I love having them on the shelf. So hopefully you like that quick look at this M.Bison figure from Bandai, and can click that like and subscribe button. I do have the Vega figure coming up straight after this, so hopefully you can subscribe and stay tuned for that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.